everybody. It's Sunday, December 6th, the last day of our New Hampshire rifle season. As you saw from yesterday, we had a nor'easter come through. It did not drop as much snow as they forecasted. What else is new, right? Looks like we got about 2 to 3 inches of snow, probably a little bit more the higher up I go in elevation. You can hear the generators running. We lost power at about midnight last night, and it was pretty windy. And as you can see, the snow didn't come out of the trees. It was heavy and wet, and it clung. And now it's about 25 degrees, so I'm afraid it might be a little crunchy, but that's all right. I got the microspikes. I'm about to put the microspikes on. I'm going to be hunting with a 30-30 today just because I'm going to be busting through hemlocks that are covered with snow. But I'm going to head up onto the hill, see if I can come across the buck track, and if I can, I'm going to follow it for as long as I'm capable. Even if I don't find a buck track, the nice thing about having this snow is it makes a deer a lot easier to see. So stick around. We're going to head on up the hill. We'll see you in a bit. Microspikes, the greatest invention for hiking and this kind of stuff. All right, well, as you can hear, the snow is not really quiet, but it's not bad. This is what I'm going to be contending with, though. I'm sure deer are going to drag me through some areas where I'm going to be contending with a lot of low-hanging branches loaded up with snow. You can see the pond is starting to freeze, but there's a drainage that comes in over there. And right over there, there's an underground spring. This area sometimes never freezes. One of the guys that follows my channel, likewise I follow them, is Josh from Josh and Hunter's Adventures. He was asking me about rock walls. I told him in the comment, New Hampshire is literally littered with rock walls. That all these rock walls are probably 150 years old, at least, and they just crisscross all over the hills here in New Hampshire. I'll show a few more of those while we're hiking up to the spot, looking for a track. All right, well, I'm going to move a lot slower than I did yesterday because even though there's a pretty good wind, the leaves underneath this snow is crunchy. It's not as quiet as I'd like it to be. So until I cross a track, I'm going to be still hunting the way I normally do. Poke along, find a reference point, poke along as quiet as I can, keep my eyes scanning the area around me. I'm just as likely to see a deer in the snow as I am to get on a track today, so that's what I'm going to do. I just love hunting in snow. So even though that storm has passed through, the winds are still coming from the northeast. So this is looking straight east, and that's looking straight north. And the winds are whipping around right in my face. So I'm gonna go, I gotta cut through this, unfortunately. And then I'm gonna work a ridge overlooking the ravine. I just came through there. Now we're gonna head out through here. Good thing about the fact that this snow froze to the trees is that even with this wind, it's not blowing down on me. So actually it's a lot better than it could be. this way or that way. I think we'll go up this way. All right, well, I just crested the top of this ridge. This ridge is the backside of the ravine I was on the other day. And it runs up this valley. It's really a valley, I guess. It's between two ridge lines. I call it a ravine just because it goes down so steep. You get an idea. I mean, from here to there is probably 70 or 80 feet of elevation change. I know you guys probably tired of hearing about the pig, but he died right there. I came up over this ridge, and he was running right up. That's why I'm kind of partial to this place. The buck I jumped last year in the snow was just back this way a little bit, and he took me down in through this ravine and up the other side and down, and then up the other side and then down. Those big bucks get big for a reason. They're generally pretty smart, especially when there's somebody on their tail. I have not seen a single track. I saw some old coyote tracks, probably made by those two coyotes I saw when they were headed the other way earlier in the evening. They had snow in them, so they were made earlier. Like I said, the snow stopped at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes. I don't want to get too sweated up. I've been moving pretty slow because I don't want to get too sweated up. I'm dressed a little bit lighter today, just due to the fact that I knew I was going to be walking. The micro spikes are awesome. They give you so much more confidence on these hills. See you in a bit. All right, well, I sat on top of that ridge for about 20 minutes, came down that hill, and because of those microspikes, I did not slip one time. Yesterday, I probably would have been on my butt 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to follow this old trail, and it's going to take me back up along those ridges. I've got the stream bed down here. I'm just going to poke along up there. Too many blowdowns. I'm going to go around. It's right up here where that doe and that skipper came across the other day. That hill where I jumped that big buck is up that way. Sit along this stream for a little while. See. I've been out here about 2 hours now. I've probably covered 1.5 miles of ground, maybe a little bit farther. I have not seen a single deer track, which really surprises me. But up here a little ways further, there's a traditional crossing that goes from the side of this ravine to the other where it's kind of mild climate. I'm hoping I see some tracks on that crossing, and I'm hoping they're going that way. But I'm pretty surprised. Beautiful morning though. Man, what a gorgeous day for the last day of the rifle season. All right. I was just coming up this hill and I cut a track. First track I found from right here, fresh bed, fairly fresh. He's heading off this way. Not a very big track, but it's a lone track and I don't see any other beds around. So I'm thinking it's probably a buck, although probably not a very big one. But if he keeps going, if he goes back down, I'm probably not going to follow him. But if he goes up where I think he might be going, that's the way I'm going to head. So we'll follow his track for a little bit, see what we see. Oh, this is encouraging. Well, kind of as I feared, he's heading down that way, but that's all right. As long as he doesn't take me back down into that ravine, I'm going to skirt this edge, keep my eyes peeled. He's not running. So I don't think I jumped him. Look, he's going back up. All right. Okay, going this way. He's headed up towards that big oak flat up at the top. Not a terrible looking track. Now that I got him in better snow. All right, okay. He's stepping it out a little bit now. He's not. Okay, this camera battery's about to die, so I'm going to swap it out. This buck, this deer, I do believe it's a buck because it's a lone track. He has started to step a pretty good stride, and I'm talking like a 35, 40-inch stride. He's not running, but I don't know if he knows I'm behind him or not. I might be fairly close. These tracks are pretty fresh. I'm going to swap out batteries on this camera and then head on up. Well, I'm beginning to doubt what this buck has got on his head. Came through here, went right under this stuff here. He could have put his head down and gotten right through there, but I don't know. We'll keep following them. See, he keeps going underneath these little branches. I guess a buck could put his head down and go through that easy enough. He could jump up right in front of me in these beaches. I'd never see him. There's more old tracks. Oh, let's see. He's going this way. Keep your eyes peeled. See, now here, came through here. All of the snow is knocked off of that. So now I'm beginning to think maybe it is a racked buck. You see him stepping out. Every once in a while, he's dribbling piss. Which now I'm 90% positive it's a buck. Just don't know how big. All right. This deer took me up to the top of this, almost to the top of this ridge, and it's a big beach flat up here. There's some oaks. There's a lot of stuff up in here, mostly hardwoods. Hard to see, a lot of blowdowns. He got me into an area where it was like just too thick with blowdowns, so I tried to skirt around and circle around him and then try to pick up his track again, and I lost it. I've made a big loop. I think he turned and went back down. I'm not going back down. There's another spot up here that I was planning on sitting, so I'm going to work my way up to that spot. And maybe he'll work his way around, I don't know. I don't think he's a big buck. He doesn't have a big track, but sometimes he had a pretty long stride. I said yesterday I was only going to shoot rack bucks, but my friend Franny and my friend Bobby both didn't get deer this year, and neither one of them are hunting today, so I hate to shoot a spike, but if I get an opportunity to take a deer, I think I'll take a deer, and that way I can give some meat to my buddies. I'm having a blast. Well, I hiked all the way up around to this old abandoned orchard, and I cut a man track, which is the first sign of anybody else I've seen. Doesn't surprise me because where I'm at now, there's relatively easy access. I hiked about 2.5 miles to get here, but I'm gonna head back down. So here's Here's another example of a rock wall that just runs for quite a long way. These things are hundreds of years old, 150, 200 years old maybe. And you gotta wonder, why are they out here in the middle of the forest? Well, most of New Hampshire was deforested at one time. A lot of pasture land, property boundaries, not really exactly sure, but there's miles and miles and miles of them. Whew. Little deer jerky from my buddy CJ from our meetup in Northwest Ohio. Thanks, CJ. Good deer jerky. Nice thing about these rock walls, they give you a place to sit down, take a break. I've been out here hiking for about 3.5 hours. Got on that one fresh deer track, followed it for probably, I don't know, half a mile at least, and then he got me twisted around in some blowdowns, and I ended up losing him. I tried to circle around, I couldn't pick it back up. Then I came upon some man tracks, so I beat feet back down the hill. The only other deer tracks I've seen were some ones that guy got tangled up in that were old. So it's been a blast, been a great day, but I'm gonna call it a day, call it a season. Thanks for coming along, it's been awesome. Peace. Another season over and done. See you next year.